All right, let's just get right into it. There's a word that I bet you haven't heard in a long, long time: sellout. Now, that used to be one of the absolute worst things you could call an artist. It meant they'd traded their soul for a paycheck. But today, the whole idea has pretty much disappeared. So, we're going to break down how we went from protecting art from corporations at all costs to a world where our favorite stars are selling us, well, pretty much everything. It really all starts with moments exactly like this one. You're just watching TV, and there's Matthew McConaughey. And he's not selling you a car or some fancy cologne. He's selling enterprise-level AI software for hospitals. There's something so jarring about it, right? It feels a little off, even though you know he's not actually your friend. And that weird feeling is exactly what got us asking this question. So I really have to ask you, do you remember a time when an actor using their platform to sell a product like this would have been seen as, I don't know, a betrayal? A moral failure, even? It felt like they were breaking a kind of trust they had with you. But now, it's so incredibly normal, we barely even blink. So what on earth happened? I mean, if you want to see how big this shift is, just look at the Super Bowl. It's the perfect measuring stick. In the last 5 years, a staggering 72% of Super Bowl commercials featured a celebrity. To put that in perspective, that is more than double the rate from just 2010. Celebrities aren't just in the ads anymore, they are the ads. Okay, so to really understand how we got here, we've got to go back, way back, to a time when that line between art and commerce was a really big deal, and if you crossed it, there were some serious consequences. Think about the 1960s and 70s. Rock and roll was the absolute engine of the counterculture. It wasn't just about the music, it was about rebellion. Rebellion against the man, the establishment, and yeah, that definitely included corporate America. Using your art to sell a product wasn't just frowned upon. For a lot of people, it was basically a cardinal sin. And this, right here, illustrates that attitude perfectly. When the other guys in the doors agreed to let Buick use their song Light My Fire in a car commercial, Jim Morrison absolutely lost his mind. He screamed at them, "You guys just made a pact with the devil!" And he even threatened to smash a Buick with a sledgehammer on TV. Now, compare that righteous fire to the endless stream of, "Hey guys, use my promo code," that just floods our social media feeds today. The shift is just seismic. And the ultimate symbol of this whole anti-corporate vibe was, of course, Woodstock in 1969. You had over 400,000 people come together for an event that, in the end, became totally free. It had zero corporate sponsors, no T-Mobile stage, no American Express VIP tent. I mean, can you even imagine a festival like that today? The branding isn't just funding the event anymore, it is the event. So how did we get from Woodstock to, well, to a world where everything is for sale? A few really key moments started to tear down that wall between art and advertising for good. It really happened in stages. First, in 1981, MTV launched, and suddenly the line between a music video and a commercial got really, really blurry. Then, in '83, Michael Jackson signs this massive deal with Pepsi, which made these corporate partnerships seem cool and aspirational. And then you get the huge one-two punch in 1999. Napster came along and completely vaporized album sales, while the disastrous, hyper-commercialized Woodstock '99 was kind of the final nail in the coffin for that old anti-consumerist spirit. And the rise of streaming basically sealed the deal. For most artists today, trying to make a living from just their music is a fantasy. One composer even reported that back in 2020, a single stream on Apple Music paid her about 1 cent. A stream on Spotify? Just 0.3 of a cent. I mean, when your art is paying you fractions of a penny, is taking a sponsorship deal selling out, or is it just survival? But, survival doesn't quite explain why A-list actors are selling us enterprise AI software. For that, we have to look past the economics and get into the psychological engine that really powers our modern world: social media. This, right here, might be the single most telling statistic of all. A 2023 survey found that the #1 career aspiration for Gen Z is to be a full-time social media influencer. Just think about that for a second. The main goal for so many isn't to create something or to be something. It's to sell something, whether that's a product, a lifestyle, or just yourself. And as our goals have changed, so has our trust. From 2019 to 2023, our trust in influencers and celebrities to tell us what to buy jumped way up. But here's the crazy part. In that exact same time, our trust in our own friends and family to give us recommendations actually dropped. We're literally putting more faith in paid spokespeople than in the people we actually know. And there is a very real cost to all of this. Research from the Journal of Competitiveness lays out a super clear path. The addictive, endless scroll of social media and the constant information overload leads to something they call social media fatigue. And that fatigue is shown to be a major factor in escalating documented psychological disorders like anxiety and depression.
Which brings us to the real-world consequences. I mean, when we completely blur the lines between entertainment, friendship, and advertising, what is the true cost? What are we actually paying?
One of the sneakiest forms of this is the podcast ad read. You know the one. A host you really trust gives you 20 minutes of amazing commentary, and then they just seamlessly pivot into this personal-sounding endorsement. Even Jon Stewart, who's been a critic of corporate power forever, does it. He uses that familiar, funny tone of his to tell you what his cats think about a certain brand of cat food. It's all designed to feel authentic, which is exactly what makes the whole thing so deceptive. So let's look at a much more serious example. You might hear a respected voice, someone like Don Lemon, promoting the online therapy service BetterHelp. He sounds sincere, right? Trustworthy. He's speaking directly to men who feel like they have to keep it all together. It sounds like a genuine recommendation from somebody who actually cares. But here is what he isn't mentioning. BetterHelp was fined by the Federal Trade Commission for sharing users' private health data, including their answers to therapy questionnaires, with advertisers like Facebook and Snapchat. The company sponsored over 58,000 podcast episodes in 5 years, all while its FAQ page explicitly lied to its users, claiming it never sold their data. I mean, that is a profound betrayal of trust, all laundered through the voices of people we think we know. And the BetterHelp case, believe me, it isn't some isolated incident. It's part of a much larger pattern that academics are now studying really closely: the direct links between the business models of these platforms, their violations of our privacy, and the very real documented negative impacts on our psychological well-being. You know, sometimes the disconnect between the celebrity's persona and the company they're shilling for is just jarring. Take George Clooney selling Nespresso coffee pods. Nespresso is owned by Nestle, a corporation with a long, and I mean long, history of controversies involving everything from child labor to environmental issues. And the irony here, a huge part of Clooney's public image is tied to his wife, Amal, who is a world-renowned international human rights lawyer. The dissonance is just, it's staggering. So it all just comes down to this, doesn't it? In a world where advertising has basically hijacked the idea of authenticity, where our biggest aspiration is just to sell things, and where trust is just another thing to be bought and sold, what are we supposed to do? The next time your favorite artist or actor or influencer tries to sell you something, it's really worth asking, are they your friend, or are you just their target market?